Overnight, President Trump posted on social media who he wants to succeed Gavin Newsom as next governor of California. He endorsed former Fox News host Steve Hilton, who is one of two Republicans still in the race. Now, despite the fact that Democrats vastly outnumber Republican voters in the state, we'll get to that in a minute, the conservative commentator has been leading in many of the polls. One of the reasons, well, there's 8 Democrats running, and they're sort of dividing and splitting up the vote. Are there any circumstances, Mr. Mayor, in which, for the good of the Democratic Party, you would drop out of this race?
No, because today, just as I said, about a year and a half ago when this kind of talk first started, I said, look, Trump is going to endorse a candidate. When he does, and he's just endorsed Hilton, that candidate's going to shoot up.
Welcome to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. As you see, there's a lot of drama going down in the California governor's race. There's 2 Republican candidates and they're polling ahead of all the other Democratic candidates because there's 8 of the Democratic candidates. And in California, it's different. It isn't about, picking a candidate for each party. Like, hey, everybody wants this guy to be the Democrat guy. Everybody wants this guy to be the Republican guy. Well, the Republicans are smart enough to know that they can't have a bunch of hands in the pot. So they have 2 candidates left now, and one of them's probably going to drop out. So all the Republican vote goes to Steve Hilton, which is smart. But as you see in this clip that I'm sharing, the guys, they asked one of the guys who was running for governor, hey, would you drop out to benefit the Democrat Party? And he's like, no, I won't do that, because there's so many egos in California, and that's why you have 8 different people running. They all think they could win. And like I said, the popular vote is what wins there. So if all the Republicans vote for one guy and then all the Democrat votes are divided between 8 different people, well, the Democrats are likely going to lose the governor race. And we're going to have another situation like we did with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was the governor there. And it can happen. It's happened before. And they're getting really scared about this because the midterms are coming up. But anyways, guys, that's all I got to really say about this. Let's see what they got to say about it. Check it out.
Mr. Mayor, when I hear you, I think I hear you saying there is something wrong, possibly seriously wrong, with one-party Democratic rule in California.
I'll tell you what's wrong. What's wrong is that we continue to enact policies that are just making it impossible for working and middle-class families to afford this state, and making it impossible for small businesses to operate in this state. I'm challenging my own party orthodoxy, and what I've said is this is a pro-worker state, and we should be. People that work hard every single day ought to be able to buy a home and have a pension, but you can't be pro-worker if you're not pro-business. And actually, in a state that over-regulates more than any other state, including blue states, we have got it wrong, and I'm going to fix it.
Steve Hilton joins me now. Steve, let's just jump right to the end. You win. You're governor-elect. But as I look at my numbers here, the California Assembly, 60 Democrats, 20 Republican. The Senate, 30 Democrats, 10 Republicans. If you are governor, would you have to compromise with them, and how would you go about that?
Well, I would be putting forward to them the same plan that I'm putting forward to the voters, which they will have chosen in the situation that you've outlined, which is totally positive and practical, not ideological, not particularly partisan. And here it is. We are going to make our state Cal-affordable. And here are the elements of that. $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half, your first $100,000 tax-free, a home you can afford to buy. And the reforms that are necessary for that will be in my first budget, which I sent to the legislature.
I don't know about that.
And I would hope, especially after all the lectures from Democrats about how much they care about our democracy, that they wouldn't want to undermine or overturn the will of the people who would have just voted for that. And so I look forward to working with them to implement the agenda that the people of California would have just voted for.
So partisan alignment is pretty structured in California, blue versus red, lopsidedly so. The Proposition 50 vote just held, 64 for favoring, 35-5 against. Was that not a sort of proxy for partisan orientation in California?
Not really, because that vote was a one-off special election over some obscure gerrymandering plan that was shoved together at the last minute, really, to promote Gavin Newsom's presidential campaign. It wasn't really about the issues that are driving people crazy in California. The fact that we got the highest cost of living in the country, highest gas prices, electric, rent, taxes the highest for the worst results, housing costs the highest in the country, crime, homelessness, the schools were a disaster. Life is a real struggle for working people, in particular in California, for small business owners, as I've been most of my career. And so that's what this election is going to be about. And that's why I'm confident that we can win, even though, as you say, it's been a long time since a Republican's won statewide in California. It's actually 20 years. But we've got a couple of things that really help us this year with the Republican turnout. On top of that list is voter ID. There's a ballot initiative that will be on the ballot in November to require voter ID in California. That is something that Republicans are very enthusiastic about. So I'm confident that while it's not going to be easy to win against the Democrat machine, people are so sick of the nonsense in California that this could be the year when we provide a bit of a shock and a political revolution here in our Golden State.
Steve, let me talk to you about your Riverside County opponent, Republican Chad Bianco, who was on this program last week. And I asked him about you, and he said why he's better is because he has a lifelong, irrefutable record of public service and Republican conservative values. I'm quoting him now. And Steve Hilton does not. His views have completely changed for his own personal benefit or political benefit. How do you respond?
Well, I don't really know what he's talking about, but the real, you can read my views and see them. I don't think there's many people who've actually run for office with more of a public record of what they've been saying the years that I've been on the national stage in the media here in California. Before that, in business and in politics in the UK, I've written 4 books over the years, all with a very consistent theme, which is that we've got to put power back in the hands of the people. Big centralized bureaucracy is a disaster everywhere it's been tried. My parents were Hungarian and they were refugees from communism. So I was brought up in a working class household in England before moving here in 2012 with my wife and my sons. And I've been totally consistent about that and all the things that I've argued, the reform. I worked for a while back in the day in the UK government. I was senior advisor to the Prime Minister. You could look at the reforms that I worked on there and helped to implement, all about pushing forward those common sense views on restraining the overmighty role of government in our lives. And so I don't really know what he's referencing there. But in any case, the real point is that we have to get united, everyone who wants change in California. And it's not just Republicans, it's independents, many Democrats. We're doing town halls up and down the state, have been since the beginning of the year. Many Democrats are coming to those. People who voted for Kamala Harris and say, yeah, I used to be a Democrat and probably still am a Democrat, but we've got to have some change in California. 16 years of one-party rule. It's not healthy. Some balance is needed in our system. And so I'm interested in hearing what this Republican candidate has got to say.
So there you go, guys. It looks like the Republicans are leading, and if Bianco drops out, I think that Hilton's going to get all the votes that he needs to be the governor. But let's see, because Bianco seems like he has some kind of like an ego like these Democrats do. And I think that the Democrats, they're all going to run. They all think they could win. And they all probably have a small percentage, but they don't realize that they have to pick one candidate because this is going to probably backfire in their face. Because Gavin Newsom's going on to try to be president. Okay, J.D. Pritzker, all these pieces of crap, AOC, let's expect to see all these people. And maybe even Jasmine Crockett, who knows? I mean, this is how crazy these people are. They actually think they could win. But anyways, guys, I thought you would enjoy that. And it would be pretty crazy to think that we would have a Republican governor in California. We did before, like I said, with the governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and could very well likely happen again. If you haven't liked, if you haven't commented, if you haven't just comment, and please subscribe, guys. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. 1,000. I'm up almost to 200. Let's get up to 1,000. Please just hit the subscribe button right now, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.